Please take a seat, Bellman.
Wait, take a seat?
Sit down at that desk.
Bellman?
I'm taking a seat. I'm taking a seat.
At the desk.
I'm taking a
Bellman,
seat.
this is your one and only warning.
Damn it, fine. Fair.
I think he's gonna be the second person ever to get contempt.
Sit in your fancy seat. This is bullshit.
I'm unable to find your friend. But
Bellman.
Bullshit, I say.
All right, that's going to be one contempt of court right there.
What's in our head?
DA's office, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Forger, are you ready to begin?
Yes. I have.
Mr. Forger, do you have?
Yes.
Do you have counsel at all today?
No, because my counsel was supposed to be J. Jonah Jamo, but he is now an ADA.
Okay, so if you do not have counsel, are you going pro se?
What?
That means you're representing yourself.
Yes.
Okay, with that being said, docket number 189010602 is going to begin. This is going to be the case of Bellman Forger versus the County of Bandera. This is our pretrial hearing. Mr. Forger, you may approach the podium in front of me. At this time, I'm going to read off all of the charges, and then we will go through them one at a time to get your pleas. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Where the fuck?
Bailiff, you want to handcuff him?
Whoa.
Okay, we will go through your pleas. For one count of torture, do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Give me a moment. I need to think. Sure, yes.
Okay, one count of bank robbery.
The bank consented.
So are you pleading guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
One count of attempted murder.
I never had a chance, so no. Yes, not guilty.
One count of aggravated battery.
Yes, guilty.
Okay, you may sit down in your seat.
Okay.
Are you still going to be pursuing the charges of failure to obey and the attempted murder?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. With that being said, we will move to schedule a trial. What day will work for everybody?
Wait, we're doing another trial?
This is pre-trial. This is where we get all of our pleas in. DA's office, are you ready to proceed with an actual trial?
I mean, we could call witnesses if we would have to, but honestly, I'd have to give it a thought. Maybe a recess?
We'll take 5-minute recess. Bellman Forger, please stay where you are sitting.
Later that same evening.
DA's office, are we looking to still schedule a trial?
Your Honor, after some consideration, the only witness I'd want to bring would be Azriel Shepherds, but that being said, his statements are pretty thorough, and I think we may be able to proceed without him actually testifying.
I'll be more than happy to be available for testifying if necessary.
So, just to clarify, you said we're only addressing the 2 charges he pled not guilty to, right, Your Honor?
Correct. We will only address those 2. He already pled guilty to the others.
Okay. Well, given that, I reviewed these statements very carefully, and Bellman's actions during both incidents, particularly the shooting of Deputy Azriel Shepherds and Marshal McElroy, demonstrate clear intent to cause serious harm or death. The use of the bear traps, the prolonged heinous torture, and the shooting of a hostage are very indicative of a premeditated and malicious intent. Now, the physical trauma inflicted on Deputy Shepherds supports the gravity of the attempted murder charge, in the state's opinion, of course. Now, as for the failure to obey a lawful order, he was wearing, from what I understand, a replica Lemoyne deputy uniform and using it to manipulate and deceive the law enforcement officers to undermine lawful authority. Now, Bellman's actions, like kidnapping and the torture, directly contravene the lawful orders and protocols to protect both officers and the public. That is all, Your Honor, regarding that.
Mr. Forger, do you have a statement to state before we begin?
McElroy deserved it.
So just to clarify, your only statement to begin your defense is McElroy deserved it.
Yes.
Okay. DA's office, you may call your witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Sergeant Azriel Shepherds to the stand.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Deputy Shepard's. Then Deputy Shepard's currently Sergeant, right?
Correct.
Can you describe the events that occurred during the Valentine kidnapping? In particular, the moments where Bellman Forger had threatened your life.
Well, I was sitting there out in front of the Valentine Sheriff's Office when I saw Mr. Heftenroder. I went over and talked with him. And he and I have an agreement set up that every time I see him, if he's wearing pants, I'll give him $100. And he was wearing pants, so I gave him $100.
A few moments later.
I was like, that's not a person, that's a pumpkin. Mind you, the pumpkin was wearing a hat, so he thought it was a person.
20 minutes later.
With that, they took me upstairs. They asked me a bunch of silly questions. Tried to make me believe that they had already asked me some other questions and that I had given ridiculous answers to them. And then he tried to feed me something he called a unicorn piss. It was just vile-looking concoction. He kept trying to shove it into my mouth, and I kept my mouth closed and kept turning my head and keeping it away from being ingested because I didn't know what it was. It looked like it was probably some sewer water mixed with milk. Then Bellman said, "Oh, I got an idea. I'm going to make sure you can't run out of here." Because I had attempted to escape from my ropes a couple times, and he kept slapping me during that every time I tried to escape. He then proceeded to put a bear trap under me, and the bear trap sprung and clamped down on one of my legs, and I started screaming in agony. Hafton was sitting over there asking Bellman what he was doing, and Bellman said, no, I got this. And then he opened it up again, and he placed it down, and it snapped shut on my leg, my other leg, and I was screaming in more agony, and Bellman started saying, just get up. And Hafton was like, this ain't right, but he didn't really do nothing about it. And Bellman put it back down again, and it snapped shut third time on my ass cheeks. I was screaming again, very loud. And finally, after the third time, and Bellman just keeps telling me to get up, even though I was tied to this chair and couldn't escape, Hafton cut me free. I crawled away from where I was being snapped on the ass and legs with a bear trap. Law saw, and they tossed me on a table and then promptly left when I yelled at that someone needed to arrest these folks. They were torturing me in Valentine. That's what happened in that situation.
Deputy Shepherds, I'd just like to thank you for sharing that experience. I know it couldn't have been easy to discuss that so openly like that.
Well, my ass cheeks feeling better, so. Oh, do you want to hear about the other part? The thing that happened here in Tanzania?
We'll come back to that in just a moment, yes.
Okay.
But before we conclude this part, I just want to clarify. On that night, you were acting in your official capacity as a lawman, is that correct?
Yes, I had my badge on. I was on duty. I had just come from a call. Was chasing around someone selling drugs. And right. I lost track of them, so I come back to town.
And from listening to your testimony, it sounds like you gave Bellman Forger several lawful orders that he failed to obey. Would that be correct?
In that situation, yes.
And in your professional opinion, the harm that he caused to you, I think, is fairly clearly obvious to me anyway, that he was attempting to cause you severe harm and possibly could have killed you. Is that right?
Well, I can't sit right on my right ass cheek. That took the brunt of the bites from the bear trap.
I would like to cross-examine the witness on the first story.
You will have the chance after he's done with his examination.
Your Honor, would you like us to let him cross-examine the first incident, and then we can go to the second one?
If you would like to.
Yes, I'd be happy to give him the opportunity, given it's two separate incidents we're discussing.
Mr. Forger, you may ask questions about the incident.
So, when you were tied to the chair, did I not tell you to get up from the chair and stop getting in the bear trap?
Yes, you told me to keep getting up when I was tied to the chair, unable to remove myself.
So you're saying that you did not get up from the chair to avoid the bear trap?
I was unable to because I was tied to the chair.
Did you try not being tied?
Yes, on 3 separate occasions, and you slapped me multiple times after each attempt.
Did you just try to avoid my slaps?
Yes, I did, but I was, again, tied to a chair, unable to move.
Your Honor, I object.
What's your objection?
This line of questioning is simply absurd. It's making the court into a mockery.
Mr. Forger, please get to your point. It's very clear that you're trying to get him to slip up in his words.
Huh? Okay. You didn't move from the chair. Why?
Because I was tied to the chair.
Impossible. I never tied you. Case dismissed.
Do I have to answer that?
No, you do not.
Okay, thank God.
Mr. Forger, if you are not aware, or I'm sorry, if you do not know how to ask questions, that's kind of on you here. However, if you try to dismiss the case again or ask any more badgering questions of the witness, you will be found in contempt of court. Do you understand?
Again?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sergeant Shepherds.
Yes.
I'm just going to let you tell your story again, this time on the Saint Denis bank robbery involving Bellman Forger. Can you just explain that incident to the court, please?
All right. Well, shortly a little bit while after, I was down in Blackwater with,
One eternity later.
I couldn't really hear much of what was being said, but I heard McElroy say, I'm gonna take a peek inside, and he looked inside and said that he saw, he named them by name. He named Bellman Forger and Halfton Rotter as the two individuals he saw inside the bank. I asked them if they had any hostage. They said no, and then I heard I heard Bellman say, wait a second, and then a little bit of a scuffle, and then I heard him say, well, now I have one. He had taken McElroy hostage.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Had the other two officers go after them, and I secured the place inside, where I found McElroy with one gunshot wound, laying inside of the vault. Patched him up the best I could while waiting for a doctor. And we got a local doctor come and help him after amount of time, and I got
so much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
We got him finally detained and put him back in the cell.
Thank you, Sergeant Shepherds. I appreciate that, and I have no questions for you at this time.
Mr. Azrael.
That is my name.
Why you a little bitch?
Excuse me?
That's another contempt of court charge.
Fine.
Was that your only question for that statement, or for that line of testimony?
Yes. You didn't even answer.
Obviously, the state's going to object to that, Your Honor, but you've already...
It's already done.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any more questions for Mr. Azrael?
No.
Mr. DA?
No, Your Honor. Well, through the trial, you heard the unwavering and brave testimony of then Deputy Azrael Shepherds, now a sergeant, who bravely recounted his harrowing experiences that he endured at the hands of Bellman Forger. Now, Deputy Shepherds, he detailed during both the Valentine kidnapping and the Saint Denis bank robbery, of course, that he issued multiple clear and lawful commands to Mr. Forger to lay down his weapons and cease his violent actions. Each time, Mr. Forger chose defiance over compliance, blatantly refusing to obey the lawful orders given by Sergeant Azrael Shepard. And Mr. Forger's actions were not spontaneous or accidental. They were deliberate attempts to intimidate and cause significant harm, fulfilling the very essence of attempted murder and the failure to obey lawful orders. And in light of the compelling testimony, Your Honor, and of course the supporting evidence, it is evident that Bellman Forger is guilty of the charges of attempted murder and failure to obey a lawful order. That is all, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Forger, you may approach the podium and give a closing statement.
Closing statement.
That was one of the closing statements of all time right there. I'm going to take a 5-minute recess to go over the evidence as well as the testimony. And then we'll come back with a verdict. Mr. Forger, since we were going to court over the 2 counts, since you pled guilty to everything else, for your 1 count of failure to obey a lawful order, I'm going to be finding you guilty. And your 1 count of attempted murder, I will also be finding you guilty. Now, both of these are primarily due to the fact that your defense was essentially he deserved it. You provided no evidence to state otherwise, and your cross-examination questions on the deputy were, well, one of them was completely outlandish, and the other one just seemed more like you were running in a circle.
Your Honor, you wasn't even there, though. You weren't even there, though.
It is your job to paint a picture to me in the courtroom for your defense. You saying he deserved it was essentially you admitting to it, for one.
I mean, he kind of did.
Okay, and now you're doing it again. Mr. Forger, you may sit down at your desk. Now, factoring in the fact that Mr. Forger has already been sitting in a cell for 14 days, what I will be sentencing Mr. Forger to is going to be 185 months in Sisika. He will be fined $3,000, and 1 violent strike will be added to his record, and that is for torture.